Square Enix have released their second online multiplayer looter shooter in recent memory, and it completely flew under my radar. Apparently it launched on April 1st, and I hadn't heard or played any of it until a couple days later on the 3rd. That being said, I'm happy I checked Twitter that day and I got to play it. One, I get another video this month, which is cool, or I get my first video this month technically, because, you know. But two, the game's actually not that bad. Like I said, Outriders is the second looter shooter type game released by Square Enix in the past year after Marvel's Avengers, but instead of trying to make a more boring and less engaging Borderlands style game, Outriders falls a lot more into the category of Destiny and Anthem. In Outriders, you play as an Outrider, a player-created character sent alongside a new team to Enoch, a new planet for the human race after they sucked Earth dry and fell into war. As part of the first landing team, you're set to survey the land and secure it for colonization. On this planet there's a storm, only called the Anomaly in the opening hours of the game, which gives your created character superpowers, turning them into what's known as an Altered. It's these altered abilities that form this game's class system. Like I said, this is, to compare it to anything, very similar to a Destiny. In Outriders you have 4 classes to choose from, each with their own abilities and skill trees. The Technomancer acts as the support class, specializing in long-range play and utilizing gadgets. The Pyromancer acts sort of like a mage, being suited for medium-range combat and using fire manipulation and conjuring abilities. The final 2 classes, Devastator and Trickster, both fall into close-range combat category. The Devastator is very much the tank class, being designed to eat a lot of damage and output just as much. That leaves the Trickster being more of a thief character. You're supposed to run in close, deal a little bit of damage, and then get out of dodge, with abilities that leave enemies slowed down and stunned, while also having teleportation. Unlike Destiny, however, to, keep this comparison going, you can't change your class to fit situations and team builds. When you're given the choice of class, whatever character you're on has to be that class forever. You don't get to change it up. That is compensated for in-game, however, by having 6 save slots. At this point, I do feel like it's worth noting I've only played about 2.5 hours worth of the game so far, and I focused on a main character for my account, that being under the Trickster class. When it comes to the gameplay, it's honestly kind of alright. Don't get me wrong, I understand that's nothing close to a great endorsement, but it's really not bad. If I were to compare this to anything right now, the gameplay feels a little bit like I would imagine early versions of the first Destiny felt like. Now I understand that sounds like a complete insult, but it's not, because I do feel like there is something in this game that's worthwhile. That being said, I do have a lot of issues with how it plays. For example, the gunplay, it has weight to it, which is nice, but it doesn't feel as weighty as you'd think it would. Assault rifles feel a little bit too impactless, they don't have that punch that you would expect. And the class abilities, at least the first 3 you get as the Trickster, although they offer some variety in how you play, they don't offer up about as much as I feel they should. To continue comparing this game to Destiny, the abilities especially, I just don't feel like they cut it. When you look at how Destiny handles their abilities, they are set to alter slightly regular gameplay movements. You've got your grenades, which are slightly changed. You may get a new dash or charge ability to affect your melee, and then really the only thing that they drastically change is your super ability. Now in Outriders you don't have that super ability, so that's taken out. Instead, your abilities act as abilities. Take the first 3 Trickster ones for example. The Temporal Blade, the Slow Trap, and Hunt the Prey. Temporal Blade is a slightly higher ranged melee attack that slows down targets and interrupts other altered abilities. The Slow Trap is an AoE effect that slows enemies and projectiles, while Hunt the Prey lets you teleport behind an enemy and get a shield buff. These abilities cross the line of being just passive buffs to other mechanics and fall into their own, but not enough in my opinion. They don't have multiple uses, and all come off as either needing to be strung together to be effective, or very specifically situational use. Coming away from the abilities, the game's main combat mechanics are gunplay, with the game featuring 11 different weapon types: assault rifles, auto shotguns and sniper rifles, bolt action rifles, double guns, LMGs, pistols, pump shotguns, revolvers, rifles, and SMGs. So your standard affair really. Although I've not got to play with all different weapon types, I've only used the auto shot and sniper rifles, AR, double guns and a revolver, They're not bad at all, however I do feel that they lack a punch that you would expect from each. There's not that real oomph behind them. At the start of the game you get your character customization and it's pretty bare bones. You get a gender selection between male and female, you get a handful of face shapes and hairs, choice of eye and hair color, you get a choice of skin color, and along with a beard for the male character and what I would assume would be a makeup selection for the female. You also get to add a few scars and stuff like that, but due to this, it's, like I said, pretty weak. If you're going to be playing online a lot with such parties, you'd probably want to have your helmet on because regular faces are going to look similar. Further in-game, the armor system works basically the same as Destiny, just not featuring any specific class items. Speaking of items, all weapons and armor pieces fall into a rarity from common to legendary. Now this game really is built from its core to be a looter shooter, and while I do feel it has some obvious shortcomings when it's gameplay, we're talking about this is a good game. It's fun to play and the story has me hooked right now. I'm excited to play more and maybe end up making another video on this more in depth when I've actually finished the main story of the game. But I titled this video something along the lines of, is Outriders the Destiny killer? And that's a question I actually want to answer. So, is Outriders going to be the game right now to take that top spot as the leading console looter shooter from Destiny? And the answer is no, I don't think it is. While the early shortcomings are easy to look past, they are still there. Destiny has more engaging combat with more variety and customization, even if you're just playing baseline Destiny 2's New Light. But is there potential for Outriders to stand beside Destiny as one of the leading franchises in the genre? Hell yes. A lot of my personal issues with the game are due to the developers not having a lot of experience, honestly, at least in my opinion. This is the first title People Can Fly have fully made themselves since Painkiller in 2004, with all their other games, Bulletstorm, Gears Judgment, and Fortnite Save the World mode, all being co-developed by previous owners Epic Games. That being said, do I see Outriders being a dominant force in the market anytime soon? No. But do I see a whole lot of potential for what could be one of the biggest new franchises moving forward in this generation? Absolutely.